Al hayam uvaku vayavo b'nei Yisrael betoch hayam bayabasha. Raise your staff and extend your hand over the sea and split it. B'nei Yisrael will then come across the midst of the sea on dry land. Towards the latter half of the 18th century, a movement was emerging that was meant to challenge rather than revive the traditional spirit of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism. And in 1782, Naftali Hertz Wesley of Austria published a book entitled Divrei Shalom ve'emet, Words of Peace and Truth, advocating a major change in the way that Jewish children should be taught. The Cheder system should be revamped, he said, and a new spirit of scientific inquiry and secular knowledge should be introduced into the curriculum. The work was a defining manifesto of the burgeoning Haskalah movement. The saintly Vilna Gaon Reb Eliyahu of Vilna Zatzal realized that this book contained the seeds of disrespect for the local Chachamim and their interpretation of the Torah. He ordered that the book be ridiculed by having it placed in the Kuna, the pillory outside the great synagogue of Vilna. From there, it was publicly burned. The Gaon watched his entire life and worried about the discredit of the Haskalah, of the Maskilim and their ways, and even their leaders who claimed to be wise in understanding of the Torah. They would attempt to twist the holy words to benefit themselves. The following story gives one a sense of how people of the time understood the conflict between the Gaon and the Maskilim. The curators of a prominent Russian museum owned a small stone that would be reputed to possess remarkable powers. Numerous scientists engaged in experiments with the enigmatic stone, yet despite their collective efforts, none succeeded in unraveling its inherent capabilities. Faced with the perplexing mystery surrounding the stone, the museum committee resolved to transport the artifact to Germany, the hub of cultural and scientific world around. They too endeavored, and they failed to unlock the secrets. They decided to return it from whence it came. At that point, Moses Mendelssohn, a leader of the Haskalah and a scientist on the committee, stood up. "Gentlemen," he said, "there is a Rabbi Eliyahu of Vilna who is renowned for his wisdom and attainments. Before we return the stone to Russia, let us send it to him and see if he can unveil its mysterious powers." A delegation of 2 German professors made their way to Vilna, and soon they were standing before the Gaon in rapt silence as he examined the stone, rolling it about in his fingers. At last, the Gaon looked up and motioned to his Gabbai, "Reb Hirsch, bring me a glass of water." When he returned with the water, the Gaon dropped it into the glass. He then took the cup of water. There was a fizzing noise, a cloud of steam, and then an amazing thing occurred. The water in the glass disappeared. One of the professors picked up the glass, looked at it from all sides, and handed it to his colleague. Sensational! The glass stone had dried. But where did the water go? The 2 professors looked back at the Gaon, shocked. "Please, honored Rabbi, you must explain," the Gaon said. "This stone is a sapphire. When placed in water, it immediately breaks the water down to its chemical elements, those being the gases of hydrogen and oxygen." The 2 professors were astounded at the scientific genius of this rabbi living in a remote Lithuanian town, and they took their leave with great respect. When the scientists returned to Germany, they reported on the Gaon's incredible insight. Moses Mendelssohn was present at that meeting, and he stood up and exclaimed excitedly, "If so, we have now discovered a naturalistic explanation for the splitting of the Red Sea." The Chachamim of the Talmud relate that the staff of Moshe Rabbeinu, was made of sapphire. Obviously, when he raised the staff over the sea, the water dissolved for purely natural reasons, settling it into its basic elements of hydrogen and oxygen. When the Gaon heard of Moses Mendelssohn's statement, he was outraged. "Kofir!" he proclaimed. "Hashem Yitbarach told Moshe Rabbeinu, 'Lift your staff and stretch out your hands.'" The Midrash says there that the word harayim, lift, means to set aside. In other words, rather than use his staff to cause the water to part, Moshe Rabbeinu set it aside and only lifted his hands above the water. Specifically done in that fashion so the Kofrim shouldn't later claim that the water split naturally. This was indeed the nes of Kriyat Yam Suf. Here's a universal truth. Even when faced with seemingly logical explanations, many of us still choose to believe what resonates within the colors of our own lenses. The real litmus test of emunah lies in our unwavering trust in tzaddikim whose chokhmah transcends the limitations of mere logic. In a world filled with diverse and perverse beliefs, the enduring strength of our bitachon is found in embracing the time guidance of the revered spiritual leaders. Regrettably, planet Earth remains in a state not significantly improved from the times that have gone by. With the relentless spread of tumah, the waters are treacherous as ever. Our ability to navigate the tumultuous sea doesn't depend on our perception of reality, but rather in our belief in Borei Olam. In this challenging journey, our Gedolim serve as the guiding lighthouses. Don't be fooled by what appears correct or crooked, much like the disappearing cup of water. You have the choice to believe in illusions or to trust your instincts, recognizing that the real magic lies in discerning the truth amongst all of the noise. Shabbat Shalom.